مصيبة ما أعظمها أعظم أذيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة وبدل العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد المال مروان بقتل الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعنة منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقف هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالمقالات لنبيك وآل نبيك عليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر الأول ظالم. اللهم لعن الإصابة التي جاءت الحسين عليه السلام وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت ولقي الليل والنهار ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني والذنب يومنا ثم العن الثانية والثالثة والرابعة. اللهم لعن الخامسة ولعن بين الله الذي وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين واصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا وهجروا دون الحسين عليه السلام.
Shall we continue with the youth presentations, with the recitation of the Holy Quran? Please welcome Sister Kiswa and Sister Zainab with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Salawat.
Next we have Brother Mahdi. Please welcome him with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La uqsimu bihadha al-balad wa anta hillun bihadha al-balad wa walidin wa ma walad. Laqad khalaqna al-insana fi kabad. Ahsibu an يقدر عليه أحد يقول أحلفت مالا لبدا أحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين ولقد همل العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في مصابة يتيما ذا مقربة أو مسكينا ذا مقربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا بآياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Next we have Brother Kaysen, who will be presenting a short speech. Please welcome him with another round of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Today I'm going to give a quick speech about the importance of Muharram. The month of Muharram is among the 4 sacred months in Islam. The other 3 months are Rajab, Zulqa'dah, and Zulhajj. As mentioned, this is a month of Allah and contains a significant day that marks the most known importance of Muharram. On the 10th of Muharram is the day of Ashura. The day of Ashura underscores the profound significance of Muharram. The term Ashura, where did it come from? It is derived from the Arabic word Ashura, which means 10, reflecting its position on the 10th day of the month. What are some events that occurred on the day of Ashura? The day of Ashura is significant to Muslims for many reasons. While its significance is most commonly known as the day when Imam Hussein and his companions sacrificed everything in the name of Islam, additional events occurred before the Battle of Karbala, which also happened to be on the 10th day, which is when Allah saved our prophets from their hardships. It is the day when Musa said, "Truly my Lord is with me, He will guide me through," in chapter 26, ayah 62. On this day, Allah withdrew punishments from Prophet Yunus al-Islam. On this day, Allah accepted the repentance of Prophet Adam al-Islam. On this day, Prophet Ayub recovered from his illness. On this day, Allah accepted the repentance of Prophet Yusuf al-Islam's brothers. On this day, Bani Israel, the people of Musa al-Islam, crossed the sea and saved them from the Pharaoh, the day of the Pharaoh drowned. On this day, Allah saved Prophet Nuh's ark from the flood. On this day, Imam Hussein sacrificed his family and companions on the way of Allah. But this all leads to what? What's so important about all this? The importance of Muharram is a chance to begin the Islamic year right. Beginning the Islamic year with a strong start during the month Muharram sets a positive tone for the months ahead. This month offers an opportunity to reinforce our commitment to Allah and to focus on purposeful actions that align with our faith. Rather than making traditional New Year's resolutions, it is more meaningful to embrace Muharram's spiritual benefits and act with intention, and we can do that by regularly attending these majlises to renew our iman. Though we may face challenges throughout the year, the dedication established at the start of Muharram can help sustain our efforts. By understanding and valuing the significance of Muharram, we can make the most of this sacred period and strive to strengthen our faith and actions throughout the year. May Allah give us the opportunity to make an impact this Muharram, whether it be big or whether it be small. Inshallah. Thank you.
Next, please welcome Brother Wasif with another al-Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma जब सिफ्त मुस्तफा ने वतन से सफर किया, जब सिफ्त मुस्तफा ने वतन से सफर किया, गश्ते वाला बसाने को भी घर किया, रुख पहले सुए मरकदे खैरुल बशर किया, रोज़े को देख देख के को तर किया, रोज़े को देख देख के को तर किया, कहते थे गम बढ़ाइए लिए जाएगा हुसैन, काहे को इस मज़ार पे फिर आएगा हुसैन, होता कभी ना के से मैं जुदा, पर क्या करूँ कि रहने नहीं देते अश्कियाँ, जाए बगैर बन नहीं पढ़ती करूँ मैं क्या, गर्मी के दिन में और बहुत गर्म है हवा, गर्मी के दिन में और बहुत गर्म है हवा, मुझ पर ये गर्मी देखिए किससे जान गुजरती है, और नन्हे नन्हे बच्चों पे वहाँ क्या गुजरती है, जब सिफ्त मुस्तफा ने One more. Okay. Okay. Inshallah, before we continue, we have another sister who will be presenting Surah of the Quran. Please welcome. No? Okay. Inshallah, tomorrow. Inshallah, for all the mu'mineen, mu'minat, the ulama, the shuhada, those who are no longer among us, let us remember them with a Surah al-Fatiha. Shall we begin the lecture with our respected guest scholar, Sheikh Jafar. Let us welcome him with another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Get some water. Yeah. Again, salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for the well-being of the community. And an even lower salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for the hastened reappearance of Imam Zaman. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم به نستعين. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه
سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد أرسلنا رسلا من قبلك وجعلنا لهم أزواجا وذرية، وما كان لرسول أن يأتي بآية إلا بإذن الله، لكل أجل كتاب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Jamia Mu'mineen wa Mu'minat. First and foremost, I give my condolences to the Imam of our time, Imam Hujjaj Jafar al-Sharif, and then to all of you on the occasion which we are commemorating in these nights, the Shahadat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, his al-Bayt, and his companions. And inshallah, as intended through these nights and these lectures, for us to understand how to raise our own family and understand the aspect or the importance, both the social and the political aspect of the family. And alhamdulillah, we've had some very good discussions, of course, on one side I'm lecturing, but what I do like and I do appreciate first and foremost, and I'll say this at the beginning because alhamdulillah, I've had some discussions with some individuals and they've understood certain aspects of the lectures and the talks. And alhamdulillah, I did receive some feedback as well, which is good. And because this is for us to understand. It's not just simply for me here to, I'm just going to give you information. But if that information is not processed correctly, or maybe every aspect is not understood, then I definitely like to understand that. And I appreciate that. So thank you for those who have kind of contributed. And inshallah, some of those questions or some of the things which individuals they wanted to see or at least know more about, inshallah, we'll include those in the lectures. In fact, today I was planning to conclude those lectures from the first day up until now, because what I was speaking about is very general, very important, but general. And then from tomorrow onward, inshallah, I want to get into a little bit more of the specifics about the family and raising the family and the connection between the family and community, family and society, family and politics. And so that conclusion, just in very brief, in a few words, so that we are all on the same page as we move forward, so that if the lectures before were not understood, and I'll say this because I want everyone to understand that what was those talks about? And of course, they were a bit general, but what is the point? What was the point? What should we have come away or at least walked away with from those first three lectures? And I'll give you this, but also at the same time, I want those individuals who may have not understood this, that once I explain this to you, go back, listen to those lectures, listen to those talks, even if you have to put it on 1.2 or even you put it on high speed. Okay, you've heard the lecture, you've heard what has been stated. The verses and the hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam that I've shared, they culminate in these ideas. And I'm going to go from yesterday backwards because it's very important. As I mentioned yesterday, that one of the main things is to understand the idea and concept of the family, especially as it relates to Ahlul Bayt, and that we should not consider ourselves or think that we don't have a stake in the mission of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salam. We do. The companions of the Imam Hussein alayhi afdalus salam, each and every companion who were really those companions who they held dear to themselves, these individuals understood that, look, whatever the Ahlul Bayt is doing, that I have a stake in it. Just as we, in this time, living in the time of the Imam of our time, Jafar al-Sharif, we should believe and understand that whatever it is that our Imam wants, and we know what he wants. Again, the Quran and the Sunnah of Ahlul is very clear that we have a stake in that, and we have a part to play in that. We have a part to play in that. Now, connected to something which is a question that also came up in one of the feedbacks, but this is something that I was planning to do a little bit later. In fact, the lecture that I prepared for tomorrow, I'm going to deal with the idea and concept of parenthood, the relationship between parents, and then the relationship between children as well, certain aspects of it, and try each night to touch on both of these aspects because there's a lot to cover. And of course, in these nights, you cannot cover everything. But why should we understand that we are part of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salam? One of the questions that always arise, especially with parents, is like, oh, you know what? And I get this a lot. Sheikh, tell our children that they need to obey their parents. Give me all of the hadith of this and that and this and that. But if we truly understand that we are part of the Ahlul Bayt and truly that the Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi afdalus salam, in fact, all of the Ahlul Bayt, I just gave the brief hadith that they are our parents, that we are connected to them. And if we're disobeying our parents, how do we expect our children to obey us? Yeah, it seems simple that, yes, the hadith says, yes, if you disobey Ahlul Bayt, you're distancing yourself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you obey the Ahlul Bayt, you're connecting to the Ahlul Bayt. But we don't think about the effects that it's having on our family internally. It has an effect. Don't think that it goes without an effect. I'll give you one example, and this is something someone asked me about this. Again, there's one of the statements of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He states that whoever holds the prayer lightly, istakhaffa bis-salah. Doesn't mean that they have not made the salat, but they hold the prayer lightly, and that individual will not be the recipient of our shafa'ah. Keep this in mind. Once, and this is one of the youngsters, I was out in the community, and so one youngster came to me, a teenager. I said, Sheikh, can we have a discussion with my parents? You know, they keep pressuring me, you know, about my salat. I said, I make my salat, but sometimes, yeah, I may delay the salat or, you know, but each and every time they're saying, make the salat. As soon as the time of salat comes in, but they're sitting maybe watching TV. Or they're sitting doing something else. And they're not the first ones to go to make that salah. This teenager, in fact, told me, says, and Sheikh, they keep pressuring me with this, and I know my parents, they're making up 20 to 30 years of salat that they didn't make when they were younger, when they were my age. So, on one hand, the parents were like, hey, Sheikh, tell me, you know, talk to my kids. But on the other hand, the kids are like, you know, my parents are pressuring me to make the salat, but they themselves missed 20 or 30 years of salat, and so they're making up 30 years of qada. These things have an effect in our household. This is one of the reasons why I said that, look, we have to truly understand that we are part of the Ahlul Bayt. And we create that atmosphere in our household where, yes, you know what? If you're actually making your salat in time, that the time of salat comes in, and you're like, oh, it's time to salat. Either I'm making my wudu, or I'm going for my salat. At times, you don't even have to tell your children. Your children will see it. And what will they do? They'll be, oh, you know what? My parents give that much importance to Salat. Even they maybe be reminding me, but they're going to get up and they're going to do the same thing. I think many of you, if you have children, and check this out, recall this. Sometimes we take videos of this, or even sometimes pictures, that even our young children, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, we haven't taught them a salat. But they see us praying. And then what do? You'll see them starting to go into sajda. They can't pronounce their words right, but they're performing that action. And they're making postures, mumbling. Why? Because they see the example before them. They see that example and they're following that example. Shaykh Mutari has a very beautiful statement. He says that when we look at the Ahlul Bayt, he says, why does the Ahlul Bayt have so much followers? Why do people gravitate towards the Ahlul Bayt? He says, versus like the philosophers. He says, we look at the philosophers, yeah, they have a lot of ideas, they've written a lot of books, but not many people gravitate towards the philosophers. He says, the big difference is the Ahlul Bayt, they were action. They performed, they did the things that they said. And quite often they did them before they even told others people to do it. So when they said what they were saying, everyone was, oh, well, this is exactly what they do. They led by example. So if we're going to lead by example, especially in this area, and inshallah we'll get to it in a little bit more detail, some more practical examples, that obey your parents, but we're not obeying the Ahlul Bayt. And don't think that, Sheikh, the Ahlul Bayt are not before us, they're not telling us this. It has effect. There's a spiritual effect that it comes across. You may not be thinking about it, but it does happen. It reminds me of one story of, I can't remember the Arif, but one of the great Urafat saints, mystics. One of his students left from Najaf, went to Iran, went back home and went to make ziyarah to Imam Rida alayhi salatu before he returned. When the student returned, immediately his teacher he said, what did you do? He says, what did you do to Imam Rida? So this student, he was shocked. Why? Because his teacher was in Najaf. He went to Iran, and made ziyarah before he came back. He says, what did you do? So then he began to tell his teacher, he says that this was many years ago, and this is before they had divided the side of the haram. So when you go into the haram, you make ziyarah now, there's a men's section, there's a women's section. Many of the harams weren't like that. Even some of the harams of the Imamzadeh is open. You can actually circumambulate those harams that go around. So the haram of Imam Rida alayhi salatu was like that. He said, when I went in to make my ziyarah, he says, subhanAllah, I saw this lady. And she just caught my eye, and I was like, oh, subhanAllah. She was making her ziyarah, her hand was on the udhri. He says, I went beside her, and I put my hand, and it touched her hand. She moved her hand, and she went to another side of the zuriya of Imam Rida. And he said, and I went, and again, I touched her hand. She pulled it away, and she went again to another side. He says, and then I went again, followed her this third time, and I placed my hand. She didn't move her hand. She kept her hand. He says, after that, we were talking. He says, and our parents were there making ziyarah too, and I went and I proposed. The parents accepted, so now I'm back in Najaf to continue my studies, but in a year's time, I will go back and marry. But this student was wondering that how did my teacher know this? He says, when you did that, he said, I had a dream that night. He says, I saw you at the haram of Imam Rida. And Imam Rida was sitting, trying to greet you. He says, but you kicked him. And he kind of cringed. He tried to greet you again, and you kicked him again. The third time he tried to greet you, he says, you kicked him so hard, he fell over. He says, and I woke up from that dream. You think that just obedience or disobedience is something similar? No, it affects our lives. And this is why, yes, if we truly understand that, yes, we should be among the al-Bayt, alayhim afsalam, either to get that confirmation before we pass away, or at least at the brink of our death, that we are striving to be in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be in obedience of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afsalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy and rahmah. A very good friend of mine, Jafar, Thailand. Maybe some of you have heard me mention him before. I think I mentioned him before in this community. Jafar, Thailand, a Shaheed Jafar, Thailand, Jafar Ahlul Bayt. We were together in Qom. Rahmatullah alayhi. When he went back to Thailand, he became Shaheed. But I remember one day we used to always sit together, me and some other friends. And one day, we would go to his house and we would have tea and stuff. One day he was like super excited. He was like, no, come to my house, come to my house. He bought, shirini, he bought the, confectionery cookies and stuff like that. We sat and we drank tea and we were like, what's going on? Is your wife about to have another child? He was like, no, this is even better than that. He says, for a long time, he says, the only thing that I worried, he said, I didn't care about the dars. Yeah, he was studying. He's like, yes, Allah is good to learn. And he says, but my hum and gham, he says, the only thing I was worried about, that am I a part of the Ahlul Bayt or not? This is what he told us. The night before, he said he had a dream. He says, when he slept, he says, that dream was so real. And of course, we know that shaitan or the jinn cannot impersonate the Rasulullah or the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afsalam in a dream. He said when he was sleeping, he was woken up by a green light that kind of shone in his window. So he went out to see what was going on in the street. And he saw Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi as-Salam. And when he saw Imam Sadiq, he was shocked. He asked Imam Sadiq, he says, am I from you? Am I from the Ahlul Bayt? He said, Imam Sadiq didn't say anything. He asked a second time. Imam Sadiq didn't say anything. He asked a third time. He was getting worried. He says, that third time he asked Imam Sadiq didn't say anything, but he pointed to him. And he was running. He was like, what is he pointing to? He said he had a kind of like a sheepskin that was tied, almost like a ta'weez around his arm. And when he opened it, it said, Anta minna Ahlul Bayt, that you are from the Ahlul Bayt. But what does this mean? It means that in our life and our direction should be connected to Ahlul Bayt alayhim afsalam. So that's one point that we should get and we should understand. So when we begin to discuss about, what is the rights of the parents over the children and rights of the children over the parents, one of the things that we have to understand, and this is the biggest right that most people, they always say, what? Obedience to the parents. But if we're not obeying our parents, we think it doesn't have an effect? Absolutely. The second thing that I want to, or at least what we were aiming at in those first few lectures as well, is to understand this point. That if we think for any moment, for one moment, that how we raise our family, our children within our household, that it does not have an effect on the community. We're coming here and we're saying, if we don't think it's going to have an effect on this community, on our neighborhood, on our city, on the country that we live in, then we're mistaken. We're mistaken. And that's why I was saying that these two things, and these were the two major topics that were presented to me, that, can we hear about family? Can we hear about politics, what should our position should be. But if we think that these two things are disconnected, we're mistaken. Why was certain families, like Zubair, for example, Imam Sadiq says, he was from us. But then when he started making this family, again, his whole direction in life changed. Then they came up with the Zubayrid dynasty, you have the Umayyads, you have the Abbasids. If we think that how we train and how we raise our children, or even our position that we show in our household, that this does not affect the community, does not affect the society, we're absolutely mistaken. Absolutely mistaken. Again, some elections are passed and some elections are coming up. What is our posture with regards to those individuals who are seeking positions of power? What is our position? What are our politics? What are the politics that we display in our home? Are we Democratic? Are we Republican? Are we Green Party or whatever this is? This is our politics. Or is our politics the politics of al-Bayt, which is a politics of justice, politics of righteousness, a politics of standing up for the oppressed? If that is our politics, then we will understand how to navigate through each and every situation. Why? Because the politics of al-Bayt wasn't an Umayyad politics, wasn't an Abbasid politics, wasn't a Zubayrid politics. It was justice. And they navigated through all of those situations. They didn't take a position, for example, and this is probably a position sometimes we can maybe think of that, oh, you know what? And I've heard this. This is from community members. This is from individuals, from the Muslim community. Some say, oh, you know what? We need to vote Republican. Why? Because they have these values or this and that. Or we need to vote democratically because of this. Or no, we for Green Party or this or that. Or you know what? We just stay so neutral. We don't do anything. We don't do anything. We don't say yay or nay. We just stay out of everything. That wasn't the politics of Ahlul Bayt and the Imam. Otherwise, just one example I'll give you. During the time of the Umayyad dynasty, Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. He was the one who suggested that the Islamic government, or whatever aspects of Islam is, that it needs to mint its own coin. Why? Because there was trade between the Muslim world and the Byzantine Empire. To the point that a lot of the Muslims, they were like, oh, wow, look at the coins in the Byzantine Empire. You know, it's minted. It has the Caesar on it. It has the ruler on it. And it has some writing on it. It looks fancy. Whereas the coins in the Muslim, gold coins among the Muslims, is plain. Nothing on it. Just a gold coin. And people begin to think that, oh, and note that the value of the coin was based on weight. But people begin to look at this and think that, oh, you know what? Because this coin looks more fancier than that one, then it's more desirable to have a Byzantine coin versus to have the coin that's plain in the Muslim world. Which the value wasn't based on the way it looked, weight. But Imam Baqir alayhi says, no, you know what? It's going to affect the society. So mint the coin. Even if you have to put the picture of the Bayt or whatever. But one of the things he said that needs to be up there, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So there is no separation between how we raise our kids, the political posture. Again, because electing, selecting, or even supporting someone who comes into administrative power, it's not just supporting an administration, you're supporting the values. And that's often, again, these books that I mentioned at the very beginning, again, read them. Or if you can, go to the library one more. But even there, it says that, look, elections or electing someone is not simply electing or selecting someone to administrate and to govern. So what is behind that is a value system, is a value statement. Why? Because people are selecting those people or electing those people who they think that, oh, this person should be a model for the society. This person should be a model for this community or this country or whatever it is. It is a value statement. And if we put into the heads of our children, oh, the value statement is that, oh, we have to be Republicans because they have certain conservative values that align with what we say. Even if maybe Democrats or liberals, they have certain things too that may be aligned, but hey, we're going to go this way, or we're going to go there. Versus saying that no. And this is unfortunately one of the biggest mistakes that the Muslim Ummah is making. You don't select anyone based on whether they're Democratic or Republican. We have to aim for what is just and what is right. We have to demand certain things which are right. Who's going to give it to us? Okay, well, if you're going to give it to us, we're going to hold you to that. So it's not a selection or election based on their parties, but it's a selection or election or at least based on the values that we hold to be true and to be right and to be just. And that we demand at this point. Who's going to give us that demand? Then we go that way. In order to achieve that thing, that objective, which is just, which is correct. But we have to instill this in our children. And this is what reading, or at least understanding the history of al-Bayt is. When the folks came to Imam Sadiq and says, oh, you know what? There's a group there rising up against the Umayyads. Come and join or lead this group. Imam Sadiq says, no. I'm not a proponent of the Abbasids. And again, we see what the Abbasids did to the al-Bayt. Nor did they say, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep the Umayyads in power. And say, no. That period of history played out, and in both the Umayyad time and in both the Abbasid time, what was the standard of Imam Sadiq alayhi? Justice. That justice had to be served. If there was an injustice, it had to be corrected. It had to be corrected. I'll just give one beautiful hadith, and we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this hadith as well from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One day the Prophet, he was among his companions, and he says, "Waylun li awlad akhir zaman min abaihim." He says, "Woe be unto the children who will live at the end of times from their parents." So the companion says, "Min abaihim mushrikeen," from their parents who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Prophet says, no. Min abaihim al-muslimin. What will be unto those children who their parents are Muslim? And they were like, what? How's this? Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, because these children will not be taught what they need to be taught. They will not be guided in the direction that they need to be guided. He says, what will happen? He says, these parents are so much concerned about their worldly life that they forget their spiritual life. They forget their connection to the Ahlul Bayt. They forget the principles of the Quran. They forget the principles that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus wassalam, that they stood for. He says, woe be unto these children. And I will say this because, again, just take the account in our communities and see. When parents, we're definitely concerned about, what is the What are our children being taught in public school, for example? What are they engaged with when it concerns social media and all these things? Let me ask one question. Don't answer because I don't want anyone to be embarrassed, but just simply reflect. If we're concerned, if we're, first of all, sending our kids to public school and say, oh, all the information and these things that are being taught to our kids and polluted their minds and taking them away from our deen. So first of all, are we actively at least working? And it may take some time. May take some time. Are we trying to develop a Muslim school, Islamic school to teach our kids or not? Number one. To instill in them the values of the al-Bayt, the Quran. Or if we are sending our kids to public school, sometimes we think, and again, this is, some say, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with our kids going to public school. I went to public school, or this, times change. What is being taught is changed. Again, in each and every one of these books I mentioned, they talk about this aspect. That how does family politics and community, how do they all interact? One of those things is the values that are being instilled in your children. We think, oh, you know what? I'll send my kid one day a week to the weekend school. And we think they're going to learn all of the values and principles that they need to in that one day a week. Subhanallah. We're fooling ourselves if we think that. Or if we are putting our kids in public school, again, this is a question. A question to individuals who are in the community. How many of you are part of the school board? How many of you are actually on that school board? Because the school board is going to determine, hey, what type of books are allowed in the school? What type of lessons are taught in the school? They're going to be, that school board votes and decides, well, what are you filling the children's head with? Part of it. They have some influence. And if we just think, oh, you know what? We're going to send our kids there. We're going to give them Islamic education one day a week. And every day they're at home with us, but while they're at home with us, we're not praying on time. We're not completely, our life is not completely aligned with the lives of the al-Bayt alayhim afsalatu wasalam. And we still think that, oh, hey, they're going to turn out okay. They're going to turn out perfect. We're fooling ourselves. Either we are part of that school board. Why? I'll just give you one very simple example, or at least one thing that can be done. Hey, you know what? You have a group of Muslims who are part of the school board. We recognize that, oh, you know what? In this particular school district, or in this particular school, there are 150 Muslim kids that go to that school. And in that school, they're feeding the kids all kinds of things. But if you're part of that school board, or you're voting, or you are connected, and this is a very minor aspect of community politics, you can say, you know what? We have so many Muslims in this school, and these kids have dietary restrictions. Wait, you know what? We need halal food in the school. You have a right to get it, and you can get it. But if you're not speaking about it, and you're not part of it, and you're not actively doing something about it, then yeah, they're not going to get it. You can say, oh, you know what? This school district or this school has 200 kids in it. You know what? These kids, they should have the right. Where's your First Amendment right or Second Amendment right? They have a right to go for half a day, right? Because on Friday, because it's Jummah. It can happen that they go half a day or part of the day or get excused for a time period and go for Jummah. I'm saying this because this happened. Actually, I'm not just simply sitting here theorizing this. I've seen it in certain communities where individuals were in the Muslim community, they were part of the board. They actually fought for this. That, no, hey, there's dietary restrictions. This is what we need. It comes about. Hey, our kids, we want them to, the Christians, you go to church on Sunday. The Jews, you have your special day on Saturday. Okay. Again, and this is arbitrary. Why is Saturday and Sunday the weekend? Okay, it is what it is. They go on Saturday, some go on Sunday. But as Muslims, our special day is on Friday. Our children have a right. They have a right to either take some time out of that day to do Jummah or go to Jummah. And it has been afforded in communities who are part of that system, at least engaged in that aspect. When it comes to issues of social media, these type of things, again, just take the list. The Prophet said, he says, woe be unto those children at the end of time. And I'm just mentioning this as a matter of fact, so that we can be aware of this and take account. And what are they watching on social media? What are the outlets? But then when it comes to our children, okay, oh, you know what? He has to be a doctor. This one has to be a lawyer. This one has to be this. For our kids say that, oh, you know what? I want to be an artist. We're like, are you crazy? You can't be an artist. That's outrageous. How are you going to live? Because we think that doesn't have any value. We think that, okay, I want to be an orator. I want to be a public speaker. No, that's outrageous. When these are some of the things that we need in society. We need artists. Even if they're doing dual jobs or whatever, we need them. Because otherwise they're going to go and they're going to gravitate to all the things that we don't want them to gravitate towards. And why we never let any of our kids become artists. I met one individual, and I'll end with this because the time is getting late. One individual, interesting, he was retired. And he invited me to dinner. So I went to dinner, and he had some amazing art on his wall. And this guy, he says, you know what? He was like, yeah, I painted all these things. He says, as a kid, I loved art. He said, it's in my blood. This is my blood. And when I looked at these things, I thought he bought them from somewhere. They were so precise. He was like, yeah, but I had a PhD in engineering. So my father told me, do not become an artist. You won't live, you won't survive. He says, so I was an engineer, retired as an engineer. He says, as a disgruntled engineer, made some money. He said, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And then he vowed, he says, and I vowed I would never do that to my children. And some of his kids they're into art and going into advertisement and but we think, again, where are we directing our children? And understand all of that has an effect on our value system, the value system that we not only implement in our household, the value system that kind of spills over into our community, in our neighborhood, in our society, our school, the government, everything. How we teach them and educate them. It's very important. And just for a matter of pragmatics, because some said that, what is something that we can give or the point that we can understand in order to instill within our children? This is one of the du'as of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu in Karbala and in this event. But it teaches us a very important lesson with regards to educating our kids. He says, Allahumma ahkum baynana wa bayna qawmin da'awna liyansuruna thumma hum yaqtulunana. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu, he says, oh Allah, You judge between us, meaning the Ahlul Bayt, and those individuals who called us saying that they will help us. And many people wrote letters to say that we will stand with the Ahlul Bayt, we will be with the Ahlul Bayt, we will align ourselves with the Ahlul Bayt. Again, aligning yourself with the Ahlul Bayt, you're aligning yourself with the Quran, you're aligning yourself with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, and many people, they did this. But these are the very people who are now standing in front of us to kill us. Subhanallah. What do we understand from this? At least something that we can use within our household. And that is, don't give false promises. And as parents, as adults. Why? Because when that false promise becomes a way of life in your household, it's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect the choices they make. Sometimes we may tell our kids, and a lot of times as parents, we do this, and we think that, oh, our child wants something. Go to the store. No, I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you later. Just right now, you leave it. But we don't have intentions to get it. That child doesn't forget it. But what that child remembers is, my parents said that they will get it for me, and they didn't do it. They gave me a false promise. And if you keep repeating it over and over in different aspects with different things, what will happen? They won't learn the value of their word. Right? Because you didn't give any value to your word. Maybe do it another way. Oh, you know what? I can't afford this right now. Or, you know what? Not right now. Or let me think about it. And truly think about it, and then you make the decision whether you want to get that or not get it, or whether it's something good or not. But when you undermine your own promise, they begin to undermine their promise as well. This was one of the biggest issues also in Karbala, that these individuals promised to stand with Imam Hussein, but they undermined their promise, and they did not come forth. In fact, only a few individuals came forth who made that promise. They honored the promise. One of those individuals was Habib ibn Madahir, who fought his way out of Kufa. It's a very beautiful poem about this. A poem by Mir Anis. So those who understand it, they'll understand this poem. But I'll translate it really quickly. Mir Anis, he says, Dusti ko devam bakhsha hai, ishq ko ek nizam bakhsha hai, jaan de kar Habib ne shah par, khud ko a'la maqam bakhsha hai. Allah. He says that when you befriend someone, and this was the thing that, according to history, Habib ibn Madahir, he had a special love for Imam Hussein. He had a special love for the Ahlul Bayt. And that friendship and love should always last. It should be sustained. It has a love or a system of love. And what was that system of love? We see that when Habib ibn Madahir, he came into Karbala, they said that someone came to him. Zainab sent someone to him and says, oh, this is Habib coming? Give him my salams. He said that when Habib, he heard that Zainab, salamullah alayha, the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen, had sent his salam. He said he took dirt and he put it on his head. He says, who am I to receive the salam of Zainab? That love of Habib, that friendship of Habib for the Ahlul Bayt, he gave his life. And by giving his life, he achieved one of the greatest stations. Another very beautiful poem in Farsi. Ya Habib, to Habib Karbala. Habib is the Habib, he is the beloved of Karbala. This is in the words of the poet saying that this is how the Ahlul Bayt interacted with Habib, that he is the Habib of Karbala. Ham safar bamaya bino ke nahi zihai, That Habib, he was so much the beloved of the Ahlul Bayt, that he was traveling with the Ahlul Bayt. But how was he traveling with the Ahlul Bayt? He also traveled with the Ahlul Bayt, that his head was also placed on the spear to travel with the Ahlul Bayt. Ahlan wa marhaba ya Habib Karbala ya bin al-Madahir. That welcome on this journey and this travel with the Ahlul Bayt. Oh Habib ibn Madahir. There was another person as well in Karbala that fulfilled their promise. And who was that? That was Zainab al-Kubra. They said that before Zainab al-Kubra, she left Medina, her husband, Abdullah ibn Jafar, he said that, take my children with you, take Muhammad and own, and make sure that they sacrifice their life, that they do not return back to Medina, that they give their life protecting the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. They said when that time came, that Zainab al-Kubra, she looked at Muhammad and own. She said, why are you still here? Go forth and protect the household of Rasulullah. They said that Muhammad and own, that these two young boys, according to the Maqtal, they had not even reached the age of 11. They went forth to Imam Hussein to seek permission to go on the battlefield of Karbala. They said that when Imam Hussein, he looked down at Muhammad and all, he looked at them, he says, return back to your mother, your beloved mother. She will miss you if you go out onto the plains of Karbala. And according to some of the Maqtals, that they returned back to Zainab crying, saying that our uncle, he has not yet given us permission to go out and fight for the household of Rasulullah. According to that Maqtal, it said Zainab al-Kubra, she came to Imam Hussein. She says, Ya Mawla, Ya Akhi, that, oh my master, oh my brother, have I ever asked you for anything? Have I ever asked you for any favor? He said, no. He says, but let me ask you for this one favor. Allow my children, Muhammad and all, to go out and to defend the house of Rasulullah. They said Muhammad, he went forth on this battlefield, saying, Nashkunu ilallahi min udwayan, faqala qawmun fi radi umayyan. He says, I complain against these people, Ya Allah, who have forsaken the Quran, who has forsaken the way of Rasulullah. They said that Nashhal al-La'in, that he is the one who killed Muhammad. He surrounded him. As each of these shaheeds, they were surrounded by the enemies. But that decisive blow was given by Nashhal. They said that Aoun also, he was fighting. He said that these two were fighting at the same time, according to some of the Maqtal, and they were separated from each other. That as long as they were together, that they could not be defeated, so they were separated. Aoun went forth saying, إن تنكروني فأنا ابن جعفر شهيد صدق في الجنان الزهار يطير فيها بجناه أخضر كفى بهذا شرفا من معشر. He says that if you don't know who I am the grandson of Jafar. I am the grandson of that shaheed who lost his both arms. I am his grandson, but we know that also in Karbala, there will be another shaheed who will lose both arms. But that shaheed in Karbala, he is the one who trained these two young individuals, Muhammad and Aoun, in the battlefield. They said that when Muhammad and Aoun, after they had fallen to the plains of Karbala, the Imam Hussein, as usual, he went forth to go and to collect and bring these two shuhada back to the tents. But these two shuhada, that what happened at that moment, that this did not happen to any of the other shuhada, that Imam Hussein, he was expecting Zainab al-Kubra, that she would come running forth for these two shaheeds. She ran forth for Ali Akbar, crying profusely. But when Muhammad and Aoun, when they fell to the plains of Karbala, they said that Zainab al-Kubra, she did not weep in that moment, nor did she go out to receive those two shuhada. Imam Hussein, he brought them back to the tents and placed them beside the other two shuhada. The other Shuhada, she still did not come, nor did she weep for her children. But you know that when she wept for her children, when she returned back to Medina, and Abdullah ibn Jafar, he asked that what happened to my sons? Did they fulfill their promise? Did they fulfill that? And they said, Zainab al-Kubra, she began to weep for Muhammad alone at that moment after she returned to Medina. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون اللهم بحق هذا المجلس لحبيب وعون ومحمد اغفر ذنوبنا وألف قلوبنا بين محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان ماتم حسين
Live like Ali, die like Hussein. Live like Ali, die like Hussein. Live like Ali, die like Hussein. Ya Ali, Ya Hussein, Ya Ali, Ya Hussein. Live like Ali, die like Hussein. Live like Ali, die like Hussein. Allah all have love for Muhammad in their heart. He is the city of knowledge, Ali of store and path. Hussein and Prophet Muhammad can never be apart, because this is what Muhammad has said.
कहती थी ज़ैनब ऐ मेरे शेरों, कहती थी ज़ैनब मेरे दिलेरों, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। आगे ज़ैनब का था चाँद सितारे मेरे, चाँद सितारे, चाँद सितारे, मांगते होंगे फिदा खोल के पाए मेरे, खोल के पाए, खोल के पाए। आगे सच्चा हुआ सर मेरा ऊंचा रहा, होने को शहर फिदा आज मेरे शेर मेरे जान मेरे, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। जाफर तैयार के खून के आकाश हो, खून के आकाश, हुस्न में अकबर हो तुम, जोश में आकाश हो, जोश में आकाश, जोश में आकाश। जंग के मैदान में, मौत के अरमान में, साया कुरान में, ऐसे उठो ऐसे बढ़ो, मौत पे तुम टूट पड़ो, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। हाँ मेरी ताकीद पर ध्यान तुम्हारा रहे, ध्यान तुम्हारा, ध्यान तुम्हारा। हाँ मेरी ताकीद पर ध्यान तुम्हारा रहे, ध्यान तुम्हारा, जाके लबे नहर भी प्यास गवारा रहे, प्यास गवारा, प्यास गवारा। दूध न बख्शूंगी मैं, मुँह भी न देखूंगी मैं, शेर की बेटी हूँ मैं, वादा करो आओ चलो चुप न रहो, और मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। जान के प्यासे हो तुम, प्यास पे काबू रहे, प्यास पे काबू, प्यास पे काबू। के अलंकार की साथ में खुशबू रहे, साथ में खुशबू, बस ये तमन्ना मेरी, लाज रहे खून की, है ये वसीयत मेरी, खाओ कसम चाहो हशम होगा न कम, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। दोनों जरी जंग को सूरत आंधी बढ़े, सूरत आंधी, सूरत आंधी। खाना अली की तरह मौत पे हावी रहे, मौत पे हावी, मिलके जो हमला किया मैं मनाऊं मैं सरा, एक दम हो गया तेरे अली, ऐसे चली धूम मची, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। देख रही थी जो माँ खैमे के दर पर खड़ी, खैमे के दर पर, साथ वहीं थे खड़े हजरत अब्बास भी, हजरत अब्बास। भाई बहन साथ थे, साहिब औलाद थे, वारिस अजदाद थे, कहने लगे खूब बड़े शेर मेरे, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। करते कहाँ तक भला प्यास के मारे हुए, प्यास के मारे, प्यास के मारे। जलती हुई आग पर दोनों तड़पने लगे, दोनों तड़पने, भाई से कहने लगी फख्र से बिनते अली, सुर्ख ज़ैनब हुई सदके तेरे भाई मेरे लाल हुए, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद, और मोहम्मद मेरे, और मोहम्मद। कौन मोहम्मद न थे वो दुरे नायाब थे, वो दुरे
نمیرسیم به خاک پای اصحاب
يا مولاي لبيك 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 يا مولاي يا أبو الأكبر معناك أكبر من الإدراك يلقدم بالندمان شنقدم لك نحتاج يوم العاشر ضحيت بيتك وبأهل البيت للموت برجلك جيت حتى تسوي حرام شفت الموت متعلق مثل قلاده بجيدك ولهذا السبب مديت ايدك والله اخذ بيدك وبدا مثل عش طبره تشمخ ربك يريدك لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي عاشورك بس الزين ظل جيشك يا حسين هم 72 ما تولج بالزهراء كان الحرائد جيش كل شوالك ليش يعرف بالموت يعيش وانت انصارك احياء بيدو شبيت البيضة تشبه نية البيضة كلبس عماني منعة صب على الخصم غيظة يدري يومك النيمة بعد ما يجوز تعويضة لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي وبعاشورك شبان واهسهم بالميدان كاللؤلؤ والمرجان تذروا الدنيا قوة كانوا يحسن اشبال بس لبسوا زي رجال كل واحد فيهم قال انا اول جندي موت لو ما تنحني اكبر ما حد صلى ولا كبر كتب درس الواعي الكامل كل شاب بقيمة المنحر اربن تقطع طاح على الثار مطمر لبيك يا مولاي 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 عاشورك رفعت راس في موجود العباس عاشورك رفعت راس في موجود العباس علم كل هاي الناس الخوة شلون تكون الخوة شلون تكون ما قالك خويا بيوم يا غاتي يصيحك دوم من طاحت بين القوم قالك انا ممنون لما طاح ابو فاضل جيت انت محتك محني قالك موتي لعيونك يا ابو الاكبر فرحني طيتك عيني وجفوفي من التقصير سامحني لبيك يا مولاي 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 شهر محرم مكتوب صبري شهر محرم مكتوب صبري عيب صبري عجب أيوب لو صب على الصخر الذوب زينب يا صبر الله ما هلت حتى دموع وانت مكسر الضلوع شافت راسك مقطوع صاحت إنا لله صاحت إنا لله زينب ما حين تهانت قلبها الماضي لعنوها مشت مسكينة صح لكن مشيت لوها مجروحة مشيت لبوها مجروحة زينب جنب ما يهتز زينب جيبا ما يهتز وان صوت العدو يلوحة لبيك يا مولاي 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 لبيك المحرم معنا والدم ضحت لله وادم ضحت لله ما رادوا دنيا وجاه بذلوا اقصى المجهود يا حسين السر كبير ما يحمل بس تفسير لو ما عاشوا يصير جا ربك ما معبود قطعت كل جبال الشك قطعت منحارك بالضبط خيل كانت تدوسك داست بيك الف مصحف راضي يضيع دين الله لو ما انت تتصرف لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي لبيك يا مولاي يا حسين रही है हुसैन तेरे लहू की खुशबू हुसैन तेरे लहू की खुशबू फलक के दामन से आ रही है फलक के दामन से आ रही है
لا شريك لك لبيك لا إله إلا هو لا شريك لك لبيك لا إله إلا هو أنجز الله وعده ونصر الله عبده أنجز الله وعده ونصر الله عبده آمد بنا حسین محضر خدا حسین آمد بنا حسین محضر خدا حسین یا اله العالمین لبیک یا امام المؤمنین لبیک یا دلیل العارفین لبیک 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 آمد تا جان دهد در ره جانان خویش آمد تا جان دهد در ره جانان خویش اکبر و اصغر دهد بر سر پیمان خویش آمد تا جان دهد در ره جانان خویش اکبر و اصغر دهد بر سر پیمان خویش سید و مولا حسین 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 سید و مولا روانی از بهشت آمده در قربانگاه روانی از بهشت آمده در قربانگاه میخواند لا حول ولا قوة الا بالله میخواند لا حول ولا قوة الا بالله آمد به کربلا بهر دیدن خدا آمد به کربلا بهر دیدن خدا یا اله العالمین لبیک یا امام المؤمنین لبیک یا دلیل العارفین لبیک 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 آمد تا جان دهد در ره جانان خویش آمد تا جان دهد در ره جانان خویش
حسین مظلوم حسین مظلوم حسین حسین مظلوم حسین مظلوم حسین مظلوم غریب و عطشان غریب و عطشان یکه و تنها یکه و تنها در دل زهرا در دل زهرا عزیز زهرا عزیز زهرا وای حسین وای حسین وای حسین وای حسین مظلوم شهید قریب عطشان مولا یا بعبدالله یا بعبدالله یا ابن الزهراء يا ابن الحيدر يكب تنهى درد الأعداء ظهر عاشورا غيبي كفن نور أزبة قرار صم بكربلاء محمد رسیده که شبم شهید غم مخور گریان این گناه شبم تازه مثل نجم و لیلا شبم غم ندارم این دو گل پر شدم پیش مرگان علی اصغر شدم غم ندارم این دو گل پر شدم پیش مرگان علی اصغر شدم دوست دارم یا اخوای بچه ها در پیت باشم روی زمان دوست دارم یا اخوای بچه ها در پیت باشم روی زمان با هم یا زینب یا اللهم أجل لوليك الثرى والعافية والناس اللهم اهدنا نعمه واشرنا أيامه واجعلنا من خير ولي أنصاره اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين اللهم اشمل الظالمين بالظالمين اللهم ارزقنا شهادة في سبيلك اللهم كن وليك على
So many people who couldn't be here, there are many of us who are sick, who are in need, who have financial difficulties, who have family issues, who have community issues. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بحق Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to grant all of us our hawa'ij, inshallah, with kind faith and Mujeeb. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibul mustarrid محمد وآله صلوات.
Hajj